morning, good afternoon, good evening to everyone around the world. I am Paul Sisler, and this is In the Moment. All right, a lot of things have gone on this last week, and we are going to be discussing quite a few things. Everyone from the new House Speaker all the way to the UAW strike that's going on and what that means for the pocketbook. And with me to do that today is Mr. Jeremy Baker. Hello, Jeremy. How you doing?
What's going on? You're making me feel underdressed here, buddy.
Not a biggie, not a biggie. You know me, I always wear my tie, so I always wear the tie. Now, there might be a schedule change coming up and all that. I'm actually I'm out looking for a job. Funds are running low. I'm pulling out way too much of my stock and my investments and all that to help cover things. So is my stepson. So I'm going to find a job. And then once I get a job, we might be changing the schedule of my weekly shows. Hopefully, if everything works out right, I'm going to get a Monday through Friday job, and I'm going to put all my shows on the weekend, Saturday and Sunday. So you're already here, so you'll remain the same. So
my schedule's flexible, so whatever you need me to do, I got you.
No worries, no worries. So how are you doing today?
Sorry, I had to yell at my dog for a second.
No worries.
She wants to bark as soon as we start the show.
It happens. It happens. I'm lucky mine's not begging me for treats right now. So anyways, what a week. What a week. We got more flippers. We got an immunity with Mark Meadows. We got Trump on a rampage. We got a new House
Speaker of the House. Yep.
UAW might be coming to an end on some aspects. Let's get this started. Where are we starting?
Well, I guess we'll start with the new speaker, Mr. Johnson. So he did a quick interview with Sean Hannity recently, and we have some highlights of that. I guess we'll start with clip one and go from there.
Sounds good.
Though you're immersed in Democrats, and this happens with almost every shooting incident. The immediate call by the left in this country, we need more gun laws, we need more legislation. What's your answer to that?
At the end of the day, the problem is the human heart. It's not guns, it's not the weapons. At the end of the day, we have to protect the right of the citizens to protect themselves, and that's the Second Amendment. And that's why our party stands so strongly for that. I agree with the comments of your guests there. This is not the time to be talking about legislation. We're in the middle of that crisis right now. But I just want you to know, and I want the American people to know, that all the members of the House here are deeply concerned about the families involved and everyone. And we pray for the law enforcement officers that are doing that hard job tonight that most people do not have the bravery to do.
You talk about the human heart. If somebody really wants to kill innocent people, there's a lot of ways they can do it beyond using a gun.
Thoughts and prayers.
Thoughts and prayers don't stop bullets. Just saying, they don't feed your belly. They don't do shit. They don't pay the bills. But I kind of agree with part of what he said, though. Yes, I think it is obviously the human heart. But at the same time, his party is the one creating this environment of hate and rage and lies and propaganda. So when somebody acts out, they go, oh, mental illness. Right. You know what I mean? And then they move on. They don't say anything about guns. I mean, I'm surprised he gave a halfway human answer. So I do agree that, yes, people are suffering and it's causing them to act out violently. But at the same time, they're not doing anything about it. So it's you know, they can talk all they want until I see them do something.
They want to address the mental health issue, but they don't want to address the gun issue.
Exactly.
And they always throw the Second Amendment out there. The part that they always forget about the Second Amendment is a well-regulated.
Right.
Well-regulated. They act as if we write a law that bans the usage of certain weapons. That's an infringement. No, that's called regulation.
Yeah, we've had this talk before. Like anything could be arms. I mean, Correct. It's a vague term. Like I could have a catapult in my front yard and Second Amendment.
Biological weapons. Are we going to allow people to have anthrax?
Right.
Do we get to have napalm? You know,
wasn't the Second Amendment supposed to be updated throughout the years? I mean, I thought that was one of the amendments that was when they wrote it. They're like, you know what? Maybe we should update some of these throughout the years and just It's never. I mean, you know, when the Second Amendment was written, how many rounds a minute could a trained, well-trained soldier fire? What, 3, 2? You know, now
Well,
any asshole with a gun can fire off as many
yeah,
rounds.
it might take them 5 minutes to load their musket, you know. But even though the times are changing, the Second Amendment is very vague in its interpretation. All right. In my book, it's my longest chapter that I cover the Second Amendment, because when you look at case law and you look at the interpretation of the Second Amendment, it can mean one of two things: individual rights or collective rights. Now, if it's collective rights, that means the people do not get to own firearms. So if they take away all of our firearms and interpret the Second Amendment as collective, it's not an infringement upon our rights. It's just an interpretation of how it's worded, and it can be interpreted that way. And when you look at
Go ahead.
And when you look at all the case law, when you look at the affirmation versus the dissent, and you look at the laws and the prior case law that they're referencing, and even tort law back from England on what this justification is, there is a discrepancy on collective versus individual rights. All right. Now, obviously, I wrote an amendment to the Second Amendment. It's in my book, where we definitely need to amend it because we need more regulation.
Specific regulations.
Yes.
Not vague terms.
And licensure, registration. People think that doing these background checks is going to stop crime, is going to stop bad people from getting guns. They're going to get illegal guns. So they're looking at it in the wrong way. What you have to do is allow felons to legally own a firearm. Because what they don't talk about is that 90% of the crimes that are committed with firearms outside of suicide, actual crimes of violence with firearms, are unregistered, unlicensed, illegal guns. The one thing the right does have is that responsible gun owners aren't the ones out there, you know, committing the crimes. It's illegal firearms. So that's what you have to regulate. And then if you regulate it and you license it, kind of like the DMV with car registration, you're going to eliminate 90% of the crimes out there. And then, of course, mental health is an issue that we also need to address.
But honestly, though, like, to commit a mass shooting, like, for example, the one that just happened in Maine, obviously something is broken upstairs. Okay. No sane person goes on a shooting rampage and then whatever kills themselves. I don't know. I think that was the end result of this one. If I'm not mistaken. You know what I mean? So I think we need to stop blaming mental health issues, because obviously mental health played a part in somebody murdering dozens of people. No, you know what I mean? So we need to just, but we're not focusing on the problem. Again, like you said, gun regulations do work. Because I think, honestly, I graduated high school in 1995. I had never been through I didn't even heard of a active shooter drill. And I think that was right around the time they legalized the assault rifle, the AR-15s. Or they lifted the ban on assault rifles and started letting people have them. Since then, it has escalated and gone further and further and further. And we have this is the problem, we have an entire network of people dedicated to pushing this agenda. They want violence. They want chaos. They want the entire population to be at each other's throats so they can just do whatever the hell they want and get away with it. You know what I mean? While we're killing each other.
Right. But again, though, it comes back to licensure. Okay. This is the aspect of it that I want to get out there, because I'm a licensed gun owner. All right. And I could go out there and people talk about the AR-15. And in so many ways, they're not wrong. But I could take a dozen clips and 2 9mm and go out and do just as much damage.
Absolutely.
Okay. All right. So there's where sometimes the left gets a little dishonest in their propaganda with it.
Yeah.
Though they're not completely entirely wrong, but then the right is completely dishonest in their propaganda, because they say guns is not the problem. people are the problem. No, guns are the problem. Because
I think
we need to redo the regulation of how we allow people to own and utilize guns.
And I'm sorry, not everybody should own a gun just because it says it in there. I mean, if you have obviously somebody that's been in and out of mental health facilities or is on an insane amount of antipsychotics or something, probably should not own a gun.
Correct.
But Maine again, for example, has some of the loosest gun laws in the country. It's insane how easy it is to get a gun there. No red flags laws, no permit carry, nothing.
Right. But see, this is again where well-regulated comes in.
Right. And this is not well-regulated. This is a shit show. There are more guns in America than there are fucking people. Right.
We definitely don't have a well-regulated militia in this country. It is very disorganized, unsafe, unhealthy, and the whole Second Amendment gun mentality that people have, you're infringing upon my rights, is just such bullshit,
Well, you say they're unorganized, but actually they're not anymore because now they have one person to rally behind. You know what I mean? They are now getting organized, and they are the violent idiots that want to, will take my, kill me before you take my gun kind of people. Just insanity.
Right. They're organizing, but they're still not well regulated.
Well, no, they're no. And when I say, I mean this in a perspective of people that think they are, and they're not. You know what I mean? These people think they're doing their patriotic duty.
Correct.
Per the Second Amendment or whatever. And they're not. And they're convinced that they are.
I know.
So convinced. Like, I don't care what anybody says. Hillary was right. Again, there does, and I may get shit for this. And there has to be some kind of deprogramming because Donald Trump, Fox News, other right-wing news networks, other Rumble websites like that have literally gone out of their way and dumped billions of dollars into programming people.
Yes, absolutely. And even though I don't like the word deprogramming,
I don't either. It sounds awful.
I hate to say it, but
really,
she's right. She's right.
I mean, what else can you say when you watch some of these videos? It's like, Jesus.
The majority of these serial killers are on the right. Most of the mass bombings and most of the serial killers, most of the people that have the demented mental health breakdowns are on the right.
As a matter of fact, the gentleman recently in Maine, some of the people he visited on Twitter frequently was that idiot cat turd, which I can't believe I have to say that it's an actual wet person. Have you ever heard of that?
Yes.
He's got over 1 million followers on Truth Social, for Christ's sake.
Yeah.
Cat turd. Donald Trump Jr., Elon Musk.
Yep.
And a couple other right-wing influencers. Those are the ones he frequented the most. So you can't tell me that the right wing is not perpetuating this type of behavior.
Oh, they are.
And pushing for it and promoting it.
They are.
All right, back to Johnson. I got off topic. I'm sorry.
Let's go to the next one.
Things that you think it is harder.
This one surprised me. I did not know
African-American son than your biological son in life. Are you saying that's institutional racism in the country? What were you referring to?
No, it's a reality, though, having raised two 14-year-old boys in America, in the state of Louisiana. They had different experiences. And I'm not so sure it was all about skin color, but it is about culture and society. Michael, our first, came from a really troubled background and had a lot of challenges. Jack, on the other hand, was raised in our household from the time he was born. And it just struck me, Sean, that it's...
Hold on a second. I want to take this back.
I know what part you're going to say.
I want to take this back.
I know exactly what part you're going to say.
Are you saying that's institutional racism in the country? What were you referring to?
See the head shake right there. Did you see the head shake right there? Let me take that back again. When Hannity asks about the systemic racism, you watch his head shake.
Racism in the country. What were you?
All right. Now, you see how he pierced his lips? He's holding back. Okay. Now, I studied micro impressions. Okay. He's piercing his lips. He's holding back, which means when he's shaking his head no, he actually knows that he's lying.
Yeah.
He knows the reason why his adopted black son was treated differently was because of systemic racism.
Yep, exactly.
All right, sorry. Anyways, put the clip back on. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. You're good.
No, it's a reality, though, having raised two 14-year-old boys in America, in the state of Louisiana. They had different experiences. And I'm not so sure it was all about skin color, but it is about culture and society.
He almost
Michael,
says the black child.
Our first, came from a really troubled background and had a lot of challenges.
Like
Jack, on the other hand, was raised in our household from the time he was born. And it just struck me, Sean, that it's a reality that, you know, there are different paths in life, and people have lots of things they have to overcome. And so it gives you a lot of empathy. It allows you to see into the heart of people and really try to understand them better.
That's
and
a bad word on the right.
That comes in handy in this arena, because we're really expected to hate our colleagues on the other side of the aisle and beat them all the time as enemies, politically speaking. But you have to recognize that this is a system that was built upon disagreement. I mean, what the founders intended here in this legislative context is that we're going to come to the table with very different philosophical ideas and core principles, and we have to arm wrestle over that and reach.
It's almost a normal answer.
Right. Hold on. I'm trying to find these. I'm going through my history here because there's these 4 guys on YouTube, and they're all experts when it comes to reading micro expressions and stuff like that. I'm no expert. I've had a class on it. There's certain things that I pick up on and I know.
I do. I know a lot about body language too. Just to spend 25 years in sales, you kind of have to be good at learning body language.
Right. Same thing. I spent 20 years in the casino industry and all that. You know, you have to be good at it. But I did take the behavior panel. It's called the behavior panel. All right. I got to have the behavior panel look at this and all that. I'm going to put that in for a suggestion because, yes, he was refraining from saying the black kid. And
he was.
I have a feeling he adopted a black kid as a Republican. And this is only my opinion. I'm not saying this is exactly what he did. This is what I feel. This is what I believe. I think he adopted a black kid because he's a Republican and he wants to say that, well, I have a black kid, so I'm not a racist when he's a racist. I think he's a racist.
I'm on the fence just because I don't know. I mean, you don't volunteer. That'd be a really shit thing if that kid ever found out that was the truth. That's all I will say about that.
Yes.
But
man,
even if he isn't racist, his position on other things are horrible. I mean, they're horrendous.
If he's not an intentional racist, okay, in other words, someone that outright just does not like black people because of the color of their skin, he's one of these racist due to situations, a situational racist. Okay,
there are different levels of racism.
And
so
he, by doing this, is promoting racism and the allowance of systemic racism by saying that there's not a difference in the system. So he's actually contributing to systemic racism by saying that there isn't an issue with it and trying to throw off the life that his black child has had versus the life his white child has had. And it shows more people have more empathy. He's trying, again, it's a different form of racism.
And now all right, so we're going to go the Christian nationalism route at this point. I think he's a diehard Christian, literally thinks that women should not be allowed to divorce their husbands, wants to ban abortion on a national level.
Yep.
With no exceptions. I mean, the guy is second in line to the presidency. God forbid anything would happen and this guy would get into power. They even call him MAGA Mike.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So let me play the third video and we can dive into that. It just gets worse as it goes on.
Over the decades, the parties have grown very far apart. There's a wide chasm now. You know, if you rewound back 40 or 50 years, there wasn't really a lot of difference between the Republican and Democrat parties. If you compared their platforms,
I mean, he's
there were
not really
nuances about
wrong
policy,
there.
but
Yeah,
they
he's
believed
not
in the
wrong
same
there.
things. They were trying to do what's right for
Here's
the
where
country.
the spin comes.
You know, the allegation
Exactly.
here about some of our colleagues is that's not really their agenda. And some of them really would like to trade what we have for a European-style socialist form of government. We know that that is a terrible idea, so we stand for our foundational principles. What you have to do is get down to those core principles and argue, debate with your colleagues, and use the facts. You know, show them the reality. Socialism is a dead end. Communism and Marxism are terrible things.
Okay.
Jesus, man.
Again, Article 1, Section 8 of the Constitution says Congress has the right to lay and collect taxes, duties, excises, and imposts. That is socialism. So what he is saying is our Constitution is dead because we are a socialist country.
Yeah, it's capitalist socialist.
Right. How do you think the roads get fixed? Tax dollars pay for that. Anything that tax dollars pay for is socialism. Their paycheck.
School.
Their paycheck.
Public school.
Public school.
Public school.
Social Security.
Imagine if they were to get away with anything they wanted to and they were to ban socialism, which they've already tried to denounce it. We and Paul covered this about a year ago.
Yes.
They could privatize schools. That way, if you can't afford it to send your kid to school, guess what? Your kid's not going to get an education.
Right.
That's what they want.
I know. And then they throw out communism and Marxism, which, again, when they throw out Karl Marx, you know, if you've ever read the Communist Manifesto and what Karl Marx and Engels are saying in the Communist Manifesto versus what like St. Simon did, which he is a Marxist, and St. Simon took Christian socialism to a different level, which is not what Karl Marx was talking about nor wanted. So your St. Simon socialism, which they call that Marxism, has nothing to do with what Karl Marx was talking about. So it's not truly Marxism. It should be called St. Simonism. But anyway.
And I would like to point this out, that he is once again not correct about socialist European countries that are not doing well, because Europe is actually doing way better than we are as far as
Norway,
freedom.
Finland, Denmark.
I mean, really,
France.
We covered this about a year ago too. CATO.org, the Human Freedom Index. It shows where everybody is ranked based on freedom with tons of different metrics. It's literally a scientific thing. You can't lie with the numbers. And we are 23rd, down 7 or 8 spots from last year.
Yes.
And I believe the like Norway, Finland, Sweden areas are in the top as far as freedom goes. I mean, violence, everything.
Not only that, I mean, think about this. We're trying to eliminate socialism because we're taking our prison system and privatizing it, you know, so that, you know, and again, that's unconstitutional, but yet we do it, you know, privatization of prisons, the privatization of Social Security. The Republicans are trying to eliminate all forms of socialism that benefit the people so that they can continue to collect their socialist paycheck and promote socialism on the governmental level, which that then becomes corporate capitalist communism of very bad form. And that is what they're promoting. They say they don't like communism, but they're promoting corporate capitalist communism.
So then Johnson eventually, of course, goes on to say Biden's doing an awful job, even though all the numbers would prove otherwise. I don't know why they just disagree with facts and numbers. Come on. So, yeah, here's that. I get so sick of Sean Hannity. This guy, even Hannity, emailed the holdouts during the speaker vote, trying to pressure them to vote for Jim Jordan. When does the FCC step in and be like, you guys are not a news company, you're interfering with government affairs? You know what I mean? That's not what news companies do. But anyway, I digress. Let's play this one.
In Joe Biden, a cognitive decline? And if so, is that a danger to the country?
I do. I think most of us do. That's reality. This is not a personal slight to him. It has to do with age and acumen, and everyone's different. Everyone ages differently. Clearly.
You know, at least he answers like a human being. He doesn't answer like a MAGA asshole. I'll give him that.
Right.
If you look at a tape of Joe Biden making an argument in the Senate Judiciary Committee a few years ago, and you see a speech that he delivers now, there's a difference. Again, I mean, it's not a personal insult to him. It's just reality. And this is what's concerning to us, is that we cannot project weakness of any kind on the world stage right now. This is a dangerous time for all the things going on around the world. The world is a tinderbox. A strong America is good for the whole world, and we have to project strength. I mean, Reagan used to remind us all the time, it's peace through strength.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and here's the thing. He's not entirely wrong.
He's not. Again, this guy's pissing me off because I keep agreeing with parts of stuff he says, and I hate it. Makes me feel like I need to go take a hot shower or something.
This is what makes him dangerous, is because he knows how to take truth and he knows how to present it logically to where it makes sense. Because everything he said there, I agree with.
Yeah, right. I mean, Biden has, he's 80 years old, for Christ's sake. Can we stop talking about it?
And he is losing a step. Now, he's still sharp. He's still sharp as a tack for an 80-year-old man. Okay? He's still sharp as a tack for an 80-year-old man. And he is doing a good job. And is it a concern in relation to how other countries may view us in relation to strength? Yes and no. Okay? Are they going to view Biden as somebody that is an 80-year-old man that's starting to become a little feeble in his step? Yes, they are. But when it comes to his policy and when it comes to the laws that the Democratic Party are trying to present and are trying to get on Biden's desk, and the things that Biden represents is all good. The majority of other countries love Biden.
They do. And this is why I'll show you. This is a video I didn't have loaded. I just remembered it. But since we're going to play a Trump, we'll play this video and then we'll play a Trump video.
Okay.
And then let the people decide who sounds like he's an idiot. We showed this video on my show.
Just a little bit when it comes roaring out again. Folks, we have to reject hate in every form, because history has taught us again and again. Anti-Semitism, Islamophobia, homophobia, transphobia, they're all connected. Hate toward one group left unanswered opens the door for more hate toward more groups more often, readily. But here's what history shows. The antidote to hate is love. The answer to twisted, dehumanizing ideology is solidarity and standing up for everyone in humanity. That's why the laws that actually protect equality matter every single American, no matter who you are, who you love, or where you come from. This shouldn't be about conservative, liberal, red, or blue. It should be about realizing the promise of the Declaration of Independence. Sounds corny, but a promise rooted in the sacred and the secular, that all people are created equal.
Oh, that gives me chills.
Yes.
Next.
that is a very well energized speech. And he's speaking truth about how everybody should be treated equally.
Right.
He's not saying that somebody should have more things over another. He's talking about true equality. Okay.
Exactly.
Not equity. There's a difference between equity and equality.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody should be treated equally. Okay. And I agree with that. But there's also a point where equity comes into play. And this is where we get into DEI. And that's another topic for another discussion for another day. But go ahead.
And here's Trump.
Why are you doing that? He said, Macron, nice guy. You know, look, he's for France. I'm for us. I'm for us. You know how you spell us, right? You spell us, U.S.
You should have stopped right there.
Right. I just picked that up. Has anyone ever thought of that?
Nope.
I just picked that up. A couple of days I'm reading and it said us. And I said, you know, if you think about it, us equals U.S. is.
Okay, that's enough. That's enough. I mean, seriously.
I know. If he would have stopped.
You're right. If he would have stopped right there, it would have been perfect. It would have actually sounded kind of like, oh, that's kind of cool. You know, you know, it's stupid, but it's kind of cool. But no, then he goes, I just realized that. Dude, you're 77 years old and you just realized that U.S. spells us. I mean, come on.
Yes. Oh, and a fifth grader would have known that, and he didn't know it from fifth grade. Oh my goodness. Oh my.
So, but you know what really struck me though is how the right, the GOP rallied behind this Mike Johnson guy, and he really doesn't have the experience that he needs to be speaker. He only has 6 years in office.
You know why they
7.
rallied behind him? First of all, he's not a Matt Gaetz or a Marjorie Taylor Greene. In other words, his name isn't out there in the public.
It is now.
Okay. Well, his name isn't out there in the public. There's not a lot of controversy behind him. And even though, yeah, his name is getting out there now, he's the Speaker of the House. Of course, it's going to happen. But because the Republican Party knows how stupid they were looking by not electing a speaker, it's like, okay, well, let's get this guy in there. He's not well known. We can do damage control as we go, but at least we'll be functioning again. And hopefully he'll work across the aisle with the Democrats on getting the budget set so that we don't have to shut the government down and we can continue moving forward and we don't continue to look incompetent. That was the idea behind it.
My worry is he's like a wolf in sheep's clothing. Like he's acting like he's going to be bipartisan, but when it comes down to it, they're just going to hold the government hostage again. I mean, because they literally have so much leverage that they can do that again, and it's coming up here soon. We only have a few more days before the government shutdown.
Here's the beauty of it, though. Okay, what Matt Gaetz did to get McCarthy out.
Yeah.
If this guy starts doing that, and of course everybody that the little MAGA group that just loves all the MAGA stuff. There's other Republicans that don't. And they can do the same thing. And if he's not working across the aisle, the Democrats will vote 212 votes to also expel him.
Right.
So he could become expelled again until the Republican Party gets somebody in there that's actually willing to work across the aisle. So what Matt Gaetz started could end up biting Republicans in the ass down the road, because I think if he becomes too MAGA-ized with Matt Gaetz and Boebert and Green and all of them and Biggs, I think you might have a Republican that says, okay, I'm going to vote this guy out. Here you go, Matt Gaetz.
This guy on video, like, I don't understand how these people even get in the power. This guy's on video saying that he blames like the Social Security crisis or whatever it is, blames it on abortion, because he says that if women gave birth to more able-bodied workers instead of aborting them, we wouldn't be having this problem we would right now. Like, this guy's a religious zealot, though, and that's where I started getting a little leery. So this is a video Midas Touch brought out. This is Mike Johnson a few years ago speaking at a church, and pretty much blames all the problems in this country on the civil rights movement of the 60s. So here we go. Yeah, not racist, my 60s, ass.
You remember that, what that was about? The countercultural revolution, Woodstock and drugs and peace and free love and all that, but more about the undermining of the foundations of religion and morality. Because if you remember, in the late 60s, we invented things like no-fault divorce laws. We invented the sexual revolution. We invented radical feminism. We invented legalized abortion in 1973, where the state, the government, sanctions the killing of the unborn. All these things happen because, as collectively as Americans,
that no-fault divorce thing, I just want to talk about that. He literally is against that, which means that would make it harder for women in abusive relationships to get divorced.
Correct. They wouldn't be able to by what
exactly. Unbelievable. This is not 1776 anymore. For fuck's sake,
thumb our nose at the Creator and say, we don't believe that anymore. We're rejecting the founders' natural law philosophy in favor of moral relativism, and we are going down another path. Now, what we tolerate in moderation, our children excuse in excess. What happens when you fast forward another 30 or 40 years? Well, here's a picture's worth 1,000 words. Go to the next one for me. I mean, we know that we're living in a completely amoral
This
society.
feels like a Heritage Foundation and Project 2025 speak.
Definitely is.
Because we've taught a whole generation, couple of generations now of Americans, that there is no right and wrong, that it's about survival of the fittest, and you evolve from the primordial slime. Why is that life of any sacred value? Because there's nobody sacred to whom it's owed. None of this should surprise us. And it leads in the next slide for me.
Shut up. But this is what I don't understand about the Republicans, okay? They're so against abortion. You cannot kill that baby before it's born. After it's born, we don't give a shit what you do with it, what happens to it, if it can eat, if it can get an education, if it's going to live on the streets as a teenager
They're not
and have to
pro-life,
sell it.
they're
You know what I
pro-birth.
mean? Like, they don't care about life.
Right.
They care about life before life.
Right. They're not pro-life, they're pro-birth.
That doesn't even make sense either, because after birth, they don't give a shit about the kid. They do everything. As a matter of fact, if that kid's not white and rich, good luck. We don't care about it. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
That's America.
Well, the thing of it is that less people are following the Christian faith. The white population versus the population of everybody else. The white population is diminishing and becoming smaller, and they're getting scared because they're in power, they're in control, and they feel that power and control slipping away to a more diverse country, to where a country that truly wants equality versus this small group of people, the minority of people want to retain this control. And that's where the problem is for them. And they want to reestablish. When you read through the Bible, okay, there is nothing in the Bible that talks about being anti-abortion.
No. I mean,
Nothing.
it says in there it's a sin to eat shrimp or some stupid
In
shit
fact,
like that.
the Bible says life begins at first breath.
Right. I mean, to me, birth, like conception, or not conception, but well, yeah, I guess, yeah. I mean, or not, or consciousness. I mean, before consciousness, there's nothing. Even a heartbeat. If there's no consciousness, it's just a body with a heartbeat. You know what I mean? The human mind. Boom. That's life. Before that, that's nothing.
Well, it's determined the fetus is a non-viable symbiotic parasite in the human body until it can survive on its own. In other words, when it comes out, it's survivable. And I think that's at like 28 weeks or 32 weeks or something like that. It's not a viable human being then. It's still a parasite. Can
we both agree on this show that men should have no business and no say-so what a woman does with her body, and they damn sure should not be allowed to make laws regarding something as big and life-altering as pregnancy?
I agree.
They act like it's their woman's duty to give birth just because she got,
That should be a vote that's put out to the women of the country, and let the women decide what that is.
I mean, am I wrong? Men, the only opinion men should have is we support a woman's right to her own body. That is literally our only opinion we should have. If you have any other opinion besides that, you're just an ignorant asshole.
Well, no, I mean, again, what is preached by your belief and your faith, even though it's wrong, that is still a person's faith and belief. And if they believe that you become impregnated, that you should have your child and you should not abort it, this is where the separation of church and state comes in, okay?
You know I'm going to play that video.
They should be allowed to have that belief and that faith in their faith. And if other people who don't have that belief or faith want to do otherwise, they should also be allowed. And there's where the difference comes in, is that's why it's called pro-choice. We allow people make the choice based upon their belief systems, where the right doesn't want to do that. They want to take away all choice, and you have to do what we say.
Here, I knew I was going to end up playing this video for some reason. This is exactly what it would be like in a country where abortion is legal, no matter what the circumstance. This is a horrible video, but it's extremely accurate, I think.
My daughter was raped, and you're not going to do anything?
I'm sorry. They'll put us all in prison if we do the procedure.
He's right. I'm your Republican congressman. We've banned abortion. No exceptions.
She's just 12 years old. I'm not letting you destroy her life.
I won the last election, so it's my decision. I'm just going to watch your daughter and make sure she doesn't do anything illegal.
I mean, powerful, but that's what it would be like if they this is there's a new term going around that I think I like. It's called Christian fascism. It's not, it's not even nationalism anymore. It's like Christian fascism going around the country.
Definitely. Oh my goodness, I tell you.
I mean, it's a harsh ad, but I mean, seriously though, it's fairly accurate. And all right, so we're running out a little low on time here. So this is, do you want me to go into Donald Trump's new ad?
Yeah. Let's go forward.
All right, people, this is Nazi propaganda right here, 100%. And he's blasted. This is a presidential campaign ad from a psycho.
With Trump taking a commanding lead and Bidenomics hurting American families, genius Hillary Clinton has come up with a way for Biden to win.
There needs to be a formal deprogramming of the cult members. Formal deprogramming of the cult members. Deprogramming of the cult members.
Yeah, there you go.
A brilliant plan. And here's what that would look like.
Pay attention. Joe Biden will defeat him.
Come on, man.
Biden has done an amazing job. Amazing job.
But there's one small problem.
The basket of deplorables.
Working Americans aren't idiots. And they know who's on their side.
I argue that.
To American workers watching their take-home pay shrink and watching inflation destroy their family and their lives, to all of you, I have your back.
I'm Donald J. Trump, and I approve this message.
Paid for by taxpayer MAGA dollars.
I'm always blown away at how the very things they do, they try to say the other side is doing.
But they have these people, like I said, at what point? But they have amplifiers. They have all these amplifiers. Like all the right-wing media takes all this stuff and just blasts it to hundreds of millions of people.
Yes.
And take no responsibility for the fact they're dividing an entire country. And they have programmed, because I agree with Hillary. I'll say it on the show. I think she's right. Not formal like they show in the video, because that's some dystopian reality. That's not America. That's World War II Germany, which is what Project 2025 is trying to turn us into.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So, yes, Fox News, OAN, those other right-wing places, especially these dark websites that these people go on, have programmed you to believe they have your best interests at heart while they do the exact opposite. Like, it's kind of fascinating because you're talking tens of millions of people.
Yes.
It's not like a cult. It's not like what was that one cult that thought spaceships were going to pick them up and they were castrating themselves and shit. You know what I mean? But now you have people with this cult mentality and a cult leader showing them stuff like that, saying the other side, and these are people that don't do any of the research. They literally get all of their information from these right-wing places. They don't bother going to independent sources. And when they do go to independent sources, now they're programmed to say, oh, that's fake. You know how many times I've shown people original footage and they'd be like, you doctored that. I'm like, bro, I got it from the source. Like, how is it? You know what I mean? People are brainwashed.
I know.
How did they do this?
That's why I have that other show called Who Wrote the Bill, where I show the legislation from both sides and I let people try to guess who wrote the bill. And
they have done a marvelous job of brainwashing everybody.
Yes. And it's amazing that based upon how people think, they usually get it wrong. They don't know who wrote the bill because, again, the propaganda that's put out there on the left thinks this or the right thinks that, and then here's a bill and you think it's a Democratic bill and it's like, whoa, Republicans wrote that? Or you think it's a Republican bill and it's like, whoa, Democrats wrote that?
Right.
And, you know, and it's like, and it has bipartisan support. What? No. And all the bills that we've gone over 90% of them are bad bills. They're not good bills. And they're being written by both the left and the right. Now, granted, I'm showing the controversial bills that people won't figure out. When you really start going through the legislation, I can start showing more of the right-wing extremist bills and the
I bet there's some
left-wing
doozies.
humanitarian bills, because when you start going through the legislation, that's what you're going to see, at how extremist the right wing has become,
It's
and
so
how
bad, though.
and how there are a few on the left that are still fighting for humanitarian values. Unfortunately, the majority of them are still corporate backed politicians. They're corporate politicians. They're not there for the people. They're there for the corporations, and they're on the left and the right.
If my hope is that violence doesn't occur as a result of, I would be so angry if people would put their lives at risk for this guy. That would just upset me to no end. Why would you even think about it? Like, this guy wouldn't even he wouldn't give you $1 if you're dying of starvation.
I know.
You know what I mean? And they think this guy has their backs. He's done a good job, man. They went right into Mein Kampf and the Hitler playbook on propaganda, man. They did. And I see it. I see Nazism in America all over it. Just because they're using the American flag instead of the swastika is what they're doing.
Exactly.
The American flag is about to turn into the next Nazi flag if people aren't careful, if we don't vote right.
Yep.
You know what I mean? That's what it's going to end up being, because if they get into power, just imagine how dangerous this country would be. We have the largest, most advanced arsenal in the world, and you want to put it at the hand of these lunatics who literally want this to be the last election ever and install Trump as dictator or king of the idiots.
I know. And unfortunately, the country's going to go one way or the other.
People aren't paying attention, though, man. They're at the point where, like, we don't want to deal with this shit.
Yeah.
I agree. I like controversy. I like getting into it with people. So that's why I do what I do. But I understand why people are like, this is messy. I don't want to be called names because I feel this way about a certain topic. I'm just not going to get into it. So
I know.
At the same time, while they're united under their furor, you know what I mean? They're also making people just not want to look at this shit anymore, because it's all over. You can't avoid it.
I know. And what's
sad? It's sad, but if we get everybody to vote correctly, this could make our democracy even stronger in the end. Because now we see all the cracks, we see all the holes.
It will. I was just going to say, it's all going to go one way or the other. We're either going to.
It's never been exposed like this before.
We're either going to run the course of a dictatorship. We're either going to become a dictatorship, or we're going to fix all of our wrongs. It's going to go one way or the other, and it's yet to be seen. Let's go on to the next. Let's go on to the next. Forward.
Where would you be safe, though? Like, where would you be safe? I wouldn't want to live in this country in a fascist dictatorship.
Norway.
All right. So Biden, or I'm sorry, UAW looks like they're about to reach a deal, which is great for auto manufacturers. But yeah, first we'll play. Of course, since we're talking about Trump, him and Biden both went to Michigan or Detroit.
Yeah.
Biden actually went to the picket line and spoke at the UAW. Trump, on the other hand, set up a fake event at a non-union shop, handed out Union for Trump signs. So, but this is what President
Biden visited GM's Willow Run Redistribution Center in Belleville.
And the president, speaking through a bullhorn, openly sided with the striking workers in the auto industry's labor dispute.
Unions built the middle class. You deserve what you've earned, and you've earned a hell of a lot more than you're getting paid now.
See, here's the thing about the strike. Now, obviously, I'm on the side of the workers.
Yeah.
But here's the thing: what people don't realize is that companies, these car manufacturing companies, they're going bankrupt. Okay, and they have to create new factories that are going to be creating electric vehicles.
Mm-hmm.
All right, because we are going electric. All right.
Actually, there might be another alternative. Toyota's developing a hydrogen, or they have developed a hydrogen engine, which could completely revolutionize car travel in general. Wouldn't even need lithium. You know what I mean? That would be big.
Don't need lithium now.
Well, so the batteries and all that stuff in the cars.
No, again, Elon Musk has come up with a sodium battery now, so we don't even need.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, I forgot all about that. I think about like, what about the disposal of all those things that, like, in the end,
right? No, he's making it cleaner and cleaner and cleaner. And I know there's a lot of people that don't like Elon, but the company Tesla, okay, not Elon himself, but the company Tesla is working on these things and making it cleaner and better, and it is moving forward, and this is going to be what the future is coming to. We are going to be all electric. We are going into the robotics. We're going into the AI. So we are going into all of this. Another reason why we need a universal basic income. But back to the auto workers, what these big companies are doing is that they're creating new factories, new plants that are making electric vehicles. But they're not falling under the same branch with their gas engine factories where the people are unionized. And part of the thing that the union workers are wanting is they want to be trained and moved into the new factories and still have it unionized. And Ford and Toyota and these big companies, they're not doing that. They don't want unions in their new electric factories because they get to pay them less. See, one of the things that Elon does, even though he's paying 15, 18 bucks an hour to people that are on working the line, creating these vehicles, they also get stock dividends and shares. There's people that work the line that have become millionaires.
Speaking of which, they took a huge hit in the third quarter. I think Elon Musk lost like $70-some billion in profit off of just Tesla. He had not in America, but I forget, somewhere in Europe, there was a big walkout about to happen. They are unionized in Tesla factories over in parts of Europe. And he took a huge beating in the third quarter. There's a lot going on there. But I agree with you, like UAW, but they got to start doing like universal gas stations too. Like doesn't every electric car have its own little port? You know what I'm saying? It's not like you can buy a Ford electric vehicle and go to a Tesla charger, can you? I don't know. Actually, it's actually
Ford has actually bought Tesla's charging devices and all that.
Okay, so if they made those universal, it'd be that's going to have to be a big step because you can't have your own. Like I can't find a Ford dealership or a Tesla dealership every time I got to charge up. I know Tesla's got more other places, but I'm just saying.
Yeah,
like
and all of
everything's unique to the brand.
All of them are converting to Tesla.
I mean, it makes sense. There is technology-wise, they're ahead of the game.
Yeah.
Ford has come a long way with electric vehicles. Their Mach-E is actually quite nice and has a hell of a range for as big as it is, and that's an SUV.
But for them to continue forward and not go actually bankrupt and lose everything, they have to close down all of their gas car companies.
They will eventually,
and so they don't have to pay severance and other things that they want to get out of. They're willing to allow these people to go on strike and close the businesses down for them. The fact that Ford has made this temporary deal, this short-term deal, gives them enough time to make enough profit on their electric, because they're still not letting their unionized gas car manufacturer people go to their electric manufacturing plants.
Well, we also have people in the government that don't even believe that climate change is real still, despite scientific evidence by people way smarter than them. But you know what? Whatever, you know what I mean? But of course, gas companies, oil companies control a lot of politicians, as well, like the NRA does. You know what I mean? So that's why they're pushing against battery or electric vehicles. They just want to keep on drilling. Even I think Trump recently even said, "Drill, baby, drill." So let me play this Ford video real quick.
Yeah, I want to thank Barbara Baker and all that for the likes. I appreciate that.
Is she watching again?
A tentative deal with Ford. That's according to the Wall Street Journal. Now that could signal the nearly 6-week strike against Detroit automakers will end soon. The Journal reports Ford has agreed to a 25% wage increase with an 11% raise in the first year of the
pretty big.
contract.
25% is a huge chunk.
The deal could be formally announced as soon as tonight.
Well, let's be honest. Politicians on both sides over the last 20 years have religiously voted against raising wages for the average American person.
Right. And the raise increase is good because it's going to give these people some the ability to start saving a little bit before they're booted out the door, because that's what's going to happen. Again, they're not being allowed to move over to the electric factories under the same umbrella of Ford. Eventually, Ford will close down all of its gas producing factories. Okay. Along with Toyota, Volkswagen, all these big companies, they're eventually going to have to close down their gas producing vehicle plants.
Right. I mean, if that's the end game, then yeah, absolutely.
Right. So this tentative agreement, giving them a raise and other little amenities, is only to, allow them to make it through to about 2030. Because by the time we hit 2030, I'm going to say my estimation would be 50% to 80% of gas car manufacturers are going to be closed down. And if they haven't already converted to electric manufacturing, they're going to go out of business.
I mean, it just makes sense. It just bothers me that we have people against, trying to save the environment. They're just like, screw it. We don't care.
And the other thing that,
as long as there's money, we don't care.
I know a lot of people don't like Elon. I personally, I don't like Elon as the person, but the industry that he's doing, the battery packs that he's creating for backup power plants and stuff like that, all the things that he's trying to do in relation to climate change. I mean, it's amazing how he puts out the propaganda and the rhetoric and supports the right, and yet he does say, hey, climate change is real and we need to do things and we need to fix it and we need to go all electric and we need to we've got to quit using fossil fuels, and
that is ironic that he supports the side that wants to not do electric vehicles. That doesn't make any sense. It kind of makes me feel like he does it just because he can.
Well, he's a democratic socialist.
Right.
Okay. And
not on Twitter, he's not.
No, he's not, because again, he's running AI programs on Twitter because he's wanting to see how people interact with each other and is using that to program his AI, so he's doing all of this to benefit himself. This is where I wish I had my friend Aaron on here and all that, because he absolutely hates Musk and he hates Tesla and he hates anything that has to do with these big corporations. But the bottom line is that these big corporations, they are corrupt, they are crooked. And whether Elon Musk truly is a democratic socialist or he pretends to be, or is he pretending to be somebody on the right, the bottom line is he creates controversy. Everybody knows who Elon Musk is. He's now a household name. He has this popularity, and he can play any side that he wants, and he can, piss people off. It doesn't matter. I mean, my account got hacked on Twitter. I deactivated, X, whatever you want to call it, and I deactivated it. I'm not going back.
Yeah, why bother at that point?
To Twitter, because
it takes a lot of time and work.
Not only does it take a lot of time, it's becoming too much of a headache. It's becoming too much of a headache. All the controversy and a lot of the spaces you go into, and they start getting on these topics, and it becomes an echo chamber. And I'm tired of the echo chamber. I want people to start presenting solutions. And this is what I'm trying to present on here is solutions,
And again, we have too many platforms dedicated to perpetuating lies, bullshit, conspiracies, made up stuff they got from a movie 10 years ago. Like, this is literally stuff they talk about, like drinking the blood of kids. And you know what I mean? There's pedo symbols on Huggies diapers kind of stuff. Like, these people are crazy. And it's not just a few people. It's a lot of people.
I know. What's funny? Do you remember the guy that created the process, the thought process that birds aren't real?
No.
All right. This kid in college, he started promoting that birds aren't real, that they're CIA ops. The CIA killed all the birds, and all the birds are drones that are flying around. And the reason why they land on the power lines and can do so is because they're recharging.
That's kind of,
and people fell for it and believed it. And it wasn't until like 2 years later that he came out and said, no, it's all bullshit.
I like it though. I mean, I like the theory. It's funny, but the fact that people believed it is beyond me. Like, it's so easy to fact check.
I want you to think about this though. People believed it, and if he wanted to, he could have kept it going, kind of like the whole flat Earth thing.
Oh, God, don't get me started on that.
Keep it going. There's people that believe the Earth is flat.
Yeah,
they believe it,
despite the words of every scientist, astronaut,
and then
pilot.
And then you look at the Trump following. How can you not believe that it's happening?
Well, that commercial is so dangerous because these people are already, they're trying to promote violence. Like that commercial right there that we just played. That is so dangerous to present to a people they're trying to scare these people into doing something dumb.
Right. And that's, again, this is what flat earthers do. This is what Birds Aren't Real did. This is what any cultist does. And eventually, in the end, they'll all drink the Kool-Aid.
Yeah.
Because they're going to believe their cult leader.
And that's what bothers me is the fact that people are just blindly following. It's because I watch a lot of videos for our show and this show and for the show that I do with Mike, man. And you come across these videos, and these are extreme circumstances. But I mean, the one lady I think said, Space Force has everything.
I know.
What? Space Force has everything. What does that even mean? Explain.
I want to make it clear to everybody. I'm not anti-Republican. Okay. I'm not anti-Republican. Jeremy might be, but I'm not anti-Republican. I am anti-ignorance.
Exactly.
Okay.
Like, you know me. I don't give a shit about labels. I think labels cause.
If you believe Donald Trump is a good guy, was a good president, a man who's got 91 indictments, and almost everybody that's been part of his staff in some way, shape, or form has either been arrested, under investigation, has been convicted, is doing prison time, has done prison time. I really want you to think about that. Okay? That's not being anti-Republican. That's being anti-cult mentality, anti-Trumpist. Okay?
Can I add to that?
Yes, go ahead.
Oh man, I forgot what I was going to say now. Go ahead, buddy.
So I'm not anti-Republican. If you go back to the old Republican platform of true conservatism, there's actually things on there that I agree with. This is why I'm an independent, because I am not somebody who is allegiant to one side or the other. There are good values on both sides. Now, I am a leftist because I'm a humanitarian. I put people before property. That's where the difference comes in. People come first. These corporate politicians put property and corporations before the people. That's what I'm upset with. Another reason why I will not pick a team, because every team out there likes corporatism in some manner or another over humanitarian values and rights.
I mean, they're scared of their own party at this point. I mean, I read what was the book that just came out or that's coming out that Mitt Romney did because he decided to retire? He said that the Republicans in Congress didn't vote to impeach Trump, not because he was innocent, but they were scared that if they voted that way and he got back into office, they would be retaliated against, or his followers, the base. They're afraid of their own base, that the base would actually, and that's what they do. They had, all right, that's what I wanted to say, and I'll shut up after that. Just so everybody knows, every single person that is testifying against Donald Trump, almost literally, probably every single one, is a freaking Republican. Okay, there are no Democrats flipping on Donald Trump.
Right.
Donald Trump is going to go to jail, lose his fortune because of Republican testimony under oath in a court of law. There, that's what I wanted to say. And I'll shut up.
Yes. And then the other thing that I want to add, for those of you that still think the election was rigged, if the Democrats were that good, and that powerful at rigging an election, why don't they also control the House and have a filibuster majority in the Senate so they can pass anything that they want?
Exactly.
Ask yourself that. If they were that good and that smart, because trust me, I read the legislation and they're not. There are some good ones there, but as a whole, they do not have the talent to do that. So if you're saying that they did, then you're giving them more credit. And obviously, you guys are never going to win again in anything because they're just that good and they're just going to fine tune it. And this next election is going to be 100% for every Democrat out there. But that's not going to happen.
Not only are they good at it, but they're perfectly great at covering up their tracks because there's no evidence of that.
Right.
You know what I mean?
If they were that good at it, then why are Democrats in fear of losing every freaking thing out there to this cult? I mean, if we were taking away their freedoms, how come they're still on media and social media talking?
You know what I've heard a few times is MAGA now thinks that they shouldn't vote because the election is going to be stolen anyway. That is actually something that's going around as well, which is fine.
Yeah.
They can do that.
Yeah.
Please.
All right. Closing thoughts.
Oh, I'm good. I got everything out of my system. I think we got our points across. I think we efficiently got our points across, so we're good.
Yes, definitely.
Everybody have a good weekend.
Yes, absolutely. And everybody remember, be happy, be kind, and may good things come your way. Thank you.